found, because India is a wonderfully plural culture, culturally very diverse. And I want to begin actually with a quote of a traveler called Mark Twain, who in his text following the equator wrote about India. I just love this quote because this really represents to me the idea of my India. The land of dreams and romance, of fabulous wealth and fabulous poverty, of splendor and rags, of palaces and hovels, of famine and pestilence, of genii and giants and Aladdin lamps, of tigers and elephants, the cobra and the jungle, the country of 100 nations and 100 tongues, of 1,000 religions, 2 million gods, cradle of the human race, birthplace of human speech, mother of history, grandmother of legend, great-grandmother of traditions, whose yesterdays bear date with the moderning antiquities. For the rest of nations, the one sole country under the sun that is endowed with an imperishable interest for alien prince and alien peasant, for lettered and ignorant, wise and fool, rich and poor, bond and free, the one land that all men desire to see, and having seen once by even a glimpse, would not give that glimpse for the shows of all the rest of the world combined. This was actually written more than 150 years ago, and I feel that this has relevance even today. When I begin with Vilas, as I said, I go back to the theory of emotions, which is the rasa theory. And for us, we actually look at the 9 rasas, which are Shringar, beauty, Veera, bravery, Karuna, compassion, Bhayanak, fear, Bibhasta, disgust, Raudra, anger, Adbhuta, wonder, Hasya, comic, and Shanta. And through the presentation, I'm going to show you images which evoke to me these emotions. Because when you build for the second part of my topic, pleasure, for living in a place which is going to give you Shanta, peace, which is going to give you Shringar, beauty in its different manifestations, and hopefully will also convey Adbhuta or wonder. So through the concept of the rasa theory, I also go into the Alankar Shastras, where, as I said, there's a canon for everything. There is a Sangeet Shastra, there is a Natya Shastra, there is a Shilpa Shastra, which is building, sculpture. There is a Vastu Shastra, which is the Shastra for all architects. So you have canons. That is what we were really known for. We were a canonical civilization, and we had rules and canons for almost everything. So when we see the Natya Shastra and we look at the compendium of how do we understand the different rasas, I want to really begin with an image of Rani Ki Vav, which all of you must have seen or probably are familiar with. But this is one of my favorite built spaces where you have a lot of things happening. You have a lot of emotions being stirred in this Rani Ki Vav. It is basically a step well, and you have a wonderful water body around it, because in many ancient texts of Indian literature, they mention that to have an aesthetically beautiful environment following a setting, the house must be near a water body like a pond, a large number of mango and other fruit-bearing trees in the vicinity, sweet-smelling flowers, chirping of birds. Now, what you see in this Rani Ka Vav, you have a host of things which are happening. There are gods and goddesses. There is, if you go through all these things, it's really a building which imparts to you a feeling of wonder and awe, not only through the sculptures or the embellishments, through the filtering of light, through the jalis. It has the beginnings of almost every tool of architecture which many architects are using. Now, it is up to the architects what elements they use, and I'm going to end my presentation with the Lodi Hotel, where I will show you a lot of these elements which have been added. Because I'm talking in Rajasthan, I want to show most of the work that I have done in Rajasthan. I also want to show you some aspects of a Chitrashala, which was done in forts and palaces way back even more than 400 to 500 years ago. These were chambers where paintings were done. So when you got up in the morning, you looked at beauty. You looked at different aspects of Shringar. So when you begin your day with an elevated sense of the self. This is, I'm just showing you in Bundi, the Chitrashala, which you see here. Imagine sleeping in a chamber and getting up to the beauty of pigments, to the beauty of color, to the beauty of form. I'm sure many of you must have gone to the Amber Fort, where you see the beauty of the Charbagh. It is a culmination of Shringar, of Karuna, of Veer, and of Raudra Rasa. So what you see here, this is located on Chilka Teel Hill, and it could lead, when you go here, you see a whole lot of emotions which confront you. And this is what the Vishwakarma, or the architect as he was known, he did it deliberately to invoke those kind of emotions in the people who live there, in the people who come to visit. This is a beautiful Jali work which you see in the Amber Fort or the Amer Fort. I'm just going to show you a bit of Mehrangarh. Mehrangarh, which evokes again Adbhut and wonder. This is the courtyard, because again a lot of Jali work and mirror work. Now you will see a lot of bathrooms have a lot of mirrors, yeah? And lot of contemporary houses, when they go to the bathroom, they're putting it. In fact, I was reading a very interesting article when somebody said, you know, all the rich women are the ones who are wanting this, but when they take their clothes off and look at their aging bodies, this is not what they wanted. But I'm just saying that in uber luxury places, this kind of taking over from what was there in the past is very much there. This you will, I'll just show you a little bit of the Rang Mahal at the Red Fort in Delhi. I'm showing you these images because I'm going to, since the topic was from heritage to contemporary, you will see that most of these elements are still present in the contemporary today. This is Fateh Prakash in Udaipur. I have set up the City Palace, in the City Palace Museum, a sculpture gallery of, for the City Palace. And this was done last year. The Fateh Prakash, which has been handed over to the Taj Group of hotels, near the swimming pool. These are, you know, various niches in the wall, because I had found a huge tranche of sculptures, maybe more than 308. There's a catalogue which I've done by Penguin, which is called Divine Gesture, because these were sculptures which came from all the adjoining places in Rajasthan. They were brought to the 75th custodian of Mewar. They are known as Shriji. They are not the real rulers of Mewar, because Mewar is ruled by Shri Eklingji, a manifestation of Shiva, and the rulers are known as the custodians. So the 75th custodian, Raja Bhagwat Singh, had all these, and they were just lying around in the area. I was doing an exhibition called the Spiritual and the Erotic, the Kama Sutra in Paris, and I wanted some work, and when I went and saw this, I asked the present custodian, Shri Arvind Singh Mewar to loan me the works, which he happily did. But then he said, there are all these sculptures. What should we do with them? So I will show you in the next slides a gallery which I set up, and how you see that the heritage is a living space even today. So this is really near the swimming pool, and I painted the thing in a nice selenium blue and placed sculptures all over. Now you can see that, and this has become a great photo op. This is the city palace. Let me know if I'm running out of time. Now, in the Mardana Mahal, this is the sculpture gallery I set up for them, which is a living space where people are going and looking at it. This is the custodianship and heritage of the area of Mewar. All these sculptures came in and around from Mewar. Because as I told you, that when I went to Mewar, tucked away in the niche of the City Palace Museum, I came across a breathtaking torso of the Andhakasura Gaja Vadha Shiva, and I was riveted. I started wandering through the the storage, and I found, to my amazement, all kinds of sculptures, from railings to portions of facade pieces, from temple shikharas to temple plinths. Now, why did all these sculptures come here? Because the people of the area, when there was a lot of plundering and looting happening, and you know that Mewar never succumbed to the Mughals or the British for a long time, they were just bringing it to the custodian of the area, and Bhagwat Singh kept them all. They were all huddled in a dark storeroom in the corner of the Mardana Mahal. So over the many decades that they brought all these sculptures, they went on becoming bigger and bigger, the collection. I'm just showing you. Now, this is the gallery I set up. The gallery I set up in 7 themes, because there were so many sculptures. I did themes of gods, goddesses, Surasundaris, animal motifs, architectural elements, narrative and decorative panels, and memorial stones. And these were all part of the beautiful set of artifacts or objects which were brought over the time period to the Maharana. Now, I will just show you. This is actually a work in progress still happening. At the City Palace Museum, not the City Palace, the Lake Palace Hotel, there were about 14 sculptures which had been just knocked onto the wall. The present custodian of Mewar, who's very much part of sharing his heritage, he invited me once again, and I brought out all those sculptures and placed it in the kind of garden outdoor with a lotus pool. I made it like a sacred grove, because sacred spaces, sacred geographies are very much part of the art and aesthetics of our country. And you will see, because they were in stone, and they were all, they're stonework, temples, they stand there for generations. So for restoration and people who are concerned about it, they weather everything, and they have been there for the longest time ever. So you just see how I've placed the sculptures. I've got a Hanuman peering out of a tree. I've got Chamundas along the thing. Now this is, I've just gone back just to show you, this was an old gateway which I had found when I was looking at the pieces which were left. This is what I have placed at the Fateh Prakash, which overlooks the Lake Pichola. And when people are going around or dining in this place, they also get time to look at the sculptures of the 8th century, because the sculptures which were found, which I discovered, were from the 7th century to almost the 20th century. This is somewhere between the 12th and 14th century. So when people are there, they move around, they look at this wonderful doorway, and they take lots of images. So whether they are really ingesting their beauty or understanding it, but at least it is very much in their consciousness, and they take pride in the beauty of their land. Now I've just gone back to the sacred grove at the Lake Palace, Udaipur. I've placed sculptures all over. Now I'll just show you some images of the Lodi Hotel in Delhi. Now if you look at the Lodi Hotel, it actually looks like a very, very modern building made of blocks, just block-wise. So the minute you get there, you get a feeling of absolute cold feeling. This is not India. We are quite Baroque in our thinking. But when you go deeper down, you see how many elements have been taken from look at the water body, which is surrounding a sitting area. Lots of water bodies and ponds, and as you know, that when we built homes, and particularly in the medieval period, beautiful homes were built near water bodies, as I had mentioned to you also, with mango groves, sweet-smelling shrubs, fragrant gardens, perfumed gardens. And the Jali work at the Lodi Hotel, which is showing the interplay of light. This has been shown by many architects even in their earlier presentations. And also you saw the beauty of it in the Amber Fort and in the Rang Mahal at the Red Fort. And that is all what I wanted to share with you, that architecture or built heritage is full of emotions. And the more emotions which you feel, which are present in a built environment, the more successful is, or the more beautiful is that space. Because what do we look for particularly in our homes? We are looking there to celebrate our lives. We are looking there for beauty. We are looking there for happiness. We are looking there to create and procreate and have a wonderful life ahead. Thank you very much. Should I leave it here?